Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's noon. Actually, it's 14 minutes past noon. I'm back. I remember we had a session on Sunday where I just did a quick glance. Sunday night, when the markets just opened, I did a quick glance to just look at the pairs I was going to be looking at this past week. For those who know me, I'm an intraday trader, and I usually go for like about, let's say, anywhere from 80 pips to 100 pips per trade. And and I only trade on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's just basically for my own personal discipline as a trader. Um, I mean, you can trade however much you want to trade, and I trade specifically the London session. So last week on Sunday night, we looked at 12 pairs. So I'm just going to quickly give you a summary of how the week has been as of today. So I'll start with the first pair, and you can use the last video, my Sunday video, to just counter check what I'm saying. I called, I believe, a buy on GJ of about 50 pips and then a sell of 200 pips. And if I go to, let's see, yes, yes, 11th May. This is 11th May. This candle here, we're on the 30 minutes. Let's go on the 1 hour. Let's see. 1 hour. I want to do this quickly. I don't want to waste time. So this candle, so I'll just make it. Yes. This is it. So, so this candle here, this green, this buy candle here is the beginning of the market open. And this is when we were analyzing the chart at around 11 to midnight time there. And this was the late night. So yeah, so basically GJ I called 50 pips buy. So let's just measure for anyone who, just to see if I was accurate in my analysis. And as you can see, GJ actually did more than 50 pips. It did 97 pips. And then I said we should expect, so if you took your 50 pips, in fact, this was a really good exit because there was a pullback at some point, but it still got to like about 96 pips, 100 pips thereabouts. Yeah. So if you took that trade, you made money. Okay. Then if we look at the 200 pips, so let's say instead you waited and you took a 200 pip, entry at some point, maybe the next morning during the London session, which is around, let's say, around, yes, this candle here. So if you did, I had talked about 200 pips sell. So you got a 120 pip sell, and then it pulled back, but we did eventually get to 200 pips. Okay. Okay, as you can see, we did more than 200 pips on GJ. If I look at it, it got to this level of 200 pips around this on the 13th. So Monday was the 11th, so on Wednesday. So you could have held, this was an intraday trade, but you could have comfortably left the room on Tuesday night, right? Or taken your 120 pips, on Monday. If you took the trade on Monday morning, you'd have closed this trade on Monday at around 8 p.m. Okay, and you'd have had about 100 pips bagged just on GJ. Actually, 150 because you took the buy, right? Yes. So that's that. Well, that was one down, one profitable trade done. Then I also give an idea of GU, okay, GBP USD. So GBP USD, all these pop-ups are many. I need to buy an antivirus to just, Sometimes I get some really weird pop-ups. I don't want to say what kind. So GU, okay, so GBP USD. So GU, I called for a sell of 200 pips. Let's see how that went. So, and we're looking at the 11th. Okay. Oh, sorry. We're looking at the 11th. Let's say around midnight still, right? So if you took this trade, I call for a sell of about, you know, 200 pips. So it did pull back 30, 40 pips, but it got to its target of 200 pips around here. So that's about, you know, let's see, 200 pips about here. So around the day is this, on the 14th, right? Thereabouts. So you could have waited for 2 days, okay, and gotten. So we did get our target on GBP USD, and it was all downhill, as you can tell. So that's another trade down. Then GN, GBP and ZD, I also call for a sell. So GBP and ZD, and I want to go through this a bit faster because I don't want to spend too much time. So GBP and ZD, I also called for a sell. There was a pullback. Now GN, 130 pips. So there was a pullback. But let's see what happens. So there was a pullback, but we did eventually get, let's see how many pips we got. Sorry about that. My cursor is just playing the game. So we did 64 pips on GN. So we didn't get our full 130. We at least got halfway before there was an impulse. But if you secured your profit at 50 pips, you still at least got a minimum of 50 pips on GN. I think that's good enough. And this was on Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday the trade closed in at least 50 pips. So that's another trade done. Then let's look at GBP CHF. I'm just looking at the trades, how they played out. See if my strategy that I use works. Of course, over time, I also get to learn. So let's see. So, okay, so this candle here. And GBP CHF, I said 140 pips, we back that easy. 140 pips. It's around here. Okay, so this is on Tuesday, so that was good. You can see we backed that as well. So GN, you got about 60 pips out of it and not 130. GBP CHF, we got the full 140 pips. Let's see, AUD JPY. AUD JPY was a bit, you know, weird, but let's see how it played out. AUD JPY. I need to speed this up. So AUD JPY, we're here. I actually called for about 60 pips, okay? We actually bagged 60 pips, about 59 pips, which I think is still 61 pips, right, guys? Yeah, actually 60.6. So let's say you bagged, yeah, 60 pips. You're good on that. AUD USD, I also called for a buy. Remember that one. And the reason why I'm doing this analysis now is, guys, because it's Thursday. I don't trade on, I end trading on Thursday. I don't trade on Fridays because Fridays I just catch up with my reading and just working on other parts of the business, and just doing other personal projects that I have on my plate. And yeah, today was also homeschooling for my daughter, so I had to organize that, her classes with her teacher. So I'm looking at so how did we do here on AU? I called 120 pips, but I remember putting a star on this because I wasn't sure, but it moved 45 pips on a buy. So I called 120, but we got 40 pips. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. It then dropped. So if you take profit, you probably get 40 pips on that. So let's look at another trade. Then we have US 30 is my baby. I love US 30. US 30 always goes according to my plan. I love it. I love her. I love her. She must be female. She's just so top. She's just so top. So that's US 30. Okay. So US 30 did 276 pips on a buy. I had taken 400. I think we're not too bad with 200. At least you bagged your 200, at least 100 pips on US 30. And then I later in the week called for a sell, and the people who took my trades on sell on US 30 made the full. We've done this week on US 30, I think we've done like 400 pips or something ridiculous like that. It's been including this buy of 200, probably 600 pips, maybe 500 to 600 pips on US 30. So let's look at GR30. GR30. Also, I love indices, guys. I've traded indices for a year. I kind of know how they move. I love that they're very heavily dependent on fundamentals as well. So it's not just a technical. So in as much as I look at the technicals, let me just be clear that when it comes to indices, I really, really do my homework. I really, really do my homework. So, okay, so German 30 usually moves slower than US 30, that's for sure. So usually if US 30 moves 700 pips, German 30 will move 500 pips, right? So it's not really rocket science on that end. So German 30, I called for a buy of 200 pips, it did 100. So yeah, technically considering US 30 did 200, it's understandable that German did 100 because usually that's how it just works. So you got your 100 on German 30. However, I eventually did call a sell of more than, German 38 this week on German 30. Anyone who took my trades on my Telegram channel, then you're good to go. So that's German 30. Gold. Gold is amazing, but it's also the devil. So gold, I called a sell, but as you can see, my goodness. Let's see. Gold. This is where's gold, 11 May. So technically, okay, so this is the candle on the, okay, so gold I called a sell for 250 pips, and we got 140, right? I think that's good considering gold. We were unsure a bit about gold, but it did before now. It moved up and it's been on its way up. I've been expecting gold to buy, but I knew there was going to be a pullback of about 250 pips, but we bagged 140, which is fine, which is awesome. Even if you got 100, you're good to go with gold. Euro MZD is usually awesome, but it's also like the devil because it can move the way it wants to move. And it's, a very independent currency of all the euro pairs. That's in my opinion. I called a sell of 200 pips. I wasn't sure. I think I put an X there, but let's see where my sell began, because it'll just show you, like, if I'm unsure about a pair, oh boy, I called a sell on Euro NZD of 200 pips. It just went 70 pips, 75 pips. So if you put your take profit at 50, no, your stop loss in profit at 50 pips, then you're good to go. If you took the trade at that time. But later on, when I woke up on Monday and I saw the movement, I actually have been giving trades on a buy on Euro NZD because the trend changed, and that was expected on the day chart. So Euro GBP, I also called a sell, but I also put an X on next week, and I know why, because I was unsure. It wasn't very clear. Wait, what's happening? I'm doing Euro GBP. So Euro GBP, and I had to log off in whatever in 3 minutes. So Euro GBP, 250 pips. And I know I put an X. So how did it go? Let's see. Euro GBP. It did 29 pips, but I put an X. I wasn't sure about it. So okay, let's say that was not a one bad trade. Okay, but later on we've been on a buy this week on the Telegram channel. So I thank God I didn't call it in the channel. So NZD card, I also did a sell of 55 pips. And as you can see, it played out even more than 50 pips, I think. Let's see. It did. Yep. And we bagged our 50 pips because I know I made this call based on the range here. So it ranged for a while before it eventually dropped. And you can see it went like 160 pips. So there you go, guys. Out of all the 12 trades, we bagged 11 of them. One went the other way. I mean, 11 out of 12, guys. I think we've done a fantastic job. So tune in, follow me, reach out. I'm on Instagram on Fierrrce Trade House, but I have another channel, my own channel. I am Fierrrce on Instagram. Fierrrce Trade House is our, official page where we talk more about Forex. My Fierrrce page is where I just talk about life and what I do as an entrepreneur. So follow me, like me. If you want more content, if you want me to teach on my strategy a bit more, let me know. That's how I know how to create more content. So thanks, guys. See you hopefully soon.